You're listening to the Stable Management Podcast, where we discuss the barn management topics that you're passionate about.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Stable Management Podcast. Our goal is to bring you a real-world look into the parts of horse farm management that you love or hate most, such as stall bedding, farm equipment, and pasture maintenance. During each bi-monthly episode, we'll be joined by an expert guest who shares their experiences with and perspectives on an important stable management topic. Today's episode is brought to you by Ritchie. Classic equine by Ritchie automatic waterers stand out in their field, not yours, with aesthetically pleasing designs that provide clean drinking water for your horses without the work or worry. Ritchie keeps the water flowing, letting you spend more quality time with your horse, delivering a standout performance, all while blending in. Learn more at ritchiefount.com. I'm your host, Hailey Kerstetter, and my guest today is Stephanie Melton, Director of Marketing at the Sanctuary at Red Bell Run in Columbus, North Carolina. Thank you so much for joining me today, Stephanie.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to share what all's going on over here.
Yes, so this is a huge topic and really important, and I know a lot of our readers are interested in how they can help get involved with hurricane relief efforts and rebuilding efforts in North Carolina and other areas that were affected by Hurricanes Helene and Melton recently. So we're going to jump right into this, and I was hoping you could describe some of the effects that the recent hurricanes have had on your area.
Yeah, for sure. So we were hit over here in Western North Carolina by Hurricane Helene. And it really hit the least, like when we least expected it. And the effects were absolutely devastating. I know it hit on a Friday morning, I believe. And honestly, I just thought it was a bad storm. Like I was getting ready to go to work. We didn't expect for it to be as bad as it was at all. And another thing is I don't think anybody ever expects for a hurricane to hit over mountain terrain like we have over in the Blue Ridge Mountains. So we didn't just deal with high winds and flooding. We also dealt with mudslides and stuff with the aftermath of that, which has been horrible. Entire towns have been wiped out and people and animals are still missing. Even today, it's been four weeks post Helene. But the resilience of the area is absolutely amazing, and the relief efforts have been great. And everybody's been coming together, not just the Western North Carolina community, but people from all over the country too.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, as horrifying as it is to see what's going on from an outside perspective, obviously, I'm all the way in Pennsylvania. It's kind of inspiring also to see how people have stepped up to help their communities, or even, people who live very far away trying to do what they can to help.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen support from all over the country, not just like the support of our community here has been amazing. But we've had people coming in and requesting how they can help and sending supplies and stuff from Texas and Wisconsin and Maine and Vermont. So it's been awesome.
So how has this affected the housing and care that's available for horses and their humans in your area?
For a lot of people, it's just gone. Sorry. A lot of people lost everything. But for those that didn't, like I said, we're all banding together to support those that have lost more. So if that's providing temporary housing for equines that no longer have a pasture or a barn, and for their owners, there's a lot of foster offers that have come up, which has been awesome. And really just if you have a spot, you offer a spot, and that's what everybody's been doing, which has been great. And that's for horses and any other kinds of livestock and pets, and their humans too that have been displaced, which has really been awesome.
Yeah, I can't even imagine being in that scenario. I'm so glad that people are stepping up to offer housing options where they can.
Yeah.
So for those who maybe were trapped in an area, as you mentioned, the mountainous terrain and mudslides were something that was somewhat unexpected. What did the rescue efforts look like for those people and their animals?
So for the first, during the initial stages, like immediately after the hurricane and for the first couple of weeks, teams from Animal Search and Rescue, which is ASAR, and then Four Hooves Large Animal Rescue Teams, and then locally we have Polk Equine Emergency Rescue, which is PEER, and then other rescue organizations all just kind of jumped in, and assisted owners and got horses that were located and needed to get to safety, got them across rivers where the bridges were washed out. There's some awesome photos and stuff on ASAR's Facebook page showing some really great rescue efforts. Just immediately after the hurricane of some equines getting them to safety. But failing that for farms and private residences that weren't able to be accessed by foot or by vehicle, there's a lot of roads that have been washed out just completely. And like I said, bridges just washed out completely. So failing the traditional methods of transportation, getting equines in and out, hay and veterinary care and any other items that were needed were taken to them. However possible, if that was by mule team, if that was by ATV, if that was by helicopter, we did everything we could to get it to them if they couldn't get out. But many times supplies had to be taken in single square bale at a time, with an ATV or literally by foot. There's still a lot of equines that are remote and cut off with their owners, just because all of the roads to get to them have been washed out. But everybody's doing the best we can and getting a little bit creative and helping get them supplies so that they can kind of shelter in place, until things start getting rebuilt and a way to get out is presented.
Yeah, I found it really amazing reading about the mule teams that were utilized, and I think I
Yeah,
saw a pony club group
it's
in.
been awesome.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's crazy to see how creative people are being,
Yeah.
to get supplies where they're needed.
Yeah, the mule teams are great and they're so hardy and they can get through this terrain like a regular horse can't. And this is what they do. So they've come in from all over the country too and are just kind of um just temporarily moved over here and helping get supplies in and help get things out and stuff, which has been awesome. So another one of the relief efforts is making sure those mules are taken care of as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, speaking of caring for the animals, were there any practical aspects of caring for horses or other animals in the wake of the storm that surprised you? And if so, how did you and others manage?
Yeah, so Hurricane Helene was such a disaster. So all ordinary horse care just kind of went out the window. People were just looking for a way for their horses and other livestock that were fortunate enough not to be swept downstream, just to get the care that they needed. So there was really we've never been hit like this before. So there was no like regular operations, that kind of went into place. I feel like Florida gets hit all the time, so they have their regular stuff that they put into place. But um, there was really just going day by day. Ordinary horse care, like I said, just went out the window. So it was really just finding those in need and getting them the essential supplies in as quickly as possible. Volunteers have been great with that. And there's no cell service or any other communication available. It's kind of hard to call for help if you can't call for help. So um, it's just been a matter of word of mouth and people finding these horse owners and people through search and rescue and then getting them the basic supplies that they need in any way they were able to with, like I said, mule teams or airlifting or ATVs. Vet care has been at a minimum, but we have had some really great vets step up and volunteer their time and risk their own safety to get in there, to those places that have been cut off. We've even flown in some vets with helicopters and taken them to equines that really needed more immediate care. Um, but we've just been doing what we can with the ones that we're able to find and um, treating them with what they need.
Yeah, I really cannot imagine being trapped, potentially unable to call for help, and knowing you have a horse that needs veterinary attention.
Yeah,
It's amazing that these vets are volunteering their time and risking their own safety for others'
yeah.
animals.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And it's not just local vets. We've had vets come from other states wanting to volunteer their time and services. And the veterinary organizations have been great with backing up with needed medical supplies and medications and stuff. And the North Carolina VMA has kind of waived cross-state licensing to an extent for vets that are wanting to come down and practice in North Carolina from another state to give them the go-ahead to do that and help. And there have been some great grants and support from other veterinary organizations, like AAEP is offering reimbursement for vets that have used up all of their medication and getting some more. So the support on the vet end has been really great.
Yeah, that's amazing. From your perspective, after seeing the effects of the hurricane, what preparations, if any, could have been made were most effective for horse owners and barn managers in protecting themselves and their animals?
Yeah. So that's the thing about Helene was the preparations honestly were slim to none just because we had no idea that it was gonna hit the way that it did. And in the cases of flash flooding with the rivers that rose and just flooded so quickly, there was literally nothing that could be done, short of emergency evacuation. But because the storm changed paths overnight, and there was no warning, it hit in the early morning, like 6, 7 a.m. The time available for any preparations was really minimal, slim to none. Generally, flash flood victims have about 17 minutes to prepare for a flash flood. Um, so it's a very short amount of time. And think if you have 10, 15 horses, it's pretty difficult to prepare for something like this. So we always recommend that if a hurricane is coming and you're in the path or in near the path that it's projected, and you have a vulnerable property near a river or something like that, that you evacuate is the first option. But like I said, this was an unprecedented event, as a hurricane has never taken this path over the escarpment of the mountains over here, which is what caused the flash flooding and the mudslides and everything. But in general, if you do have warning or time to prepare, tying identification into your horses, like braid their mane and tie identification in, and writing your contact information on their hooves and their coat with animal safe markers, and putting fly masks on to protect their eyes from any kind of debris are always recommended. And then another thing, if you're able to take extra precautions to ensure that all of your feed and hay um, is a little bit above ground and will stay safe and dry, is a great precaution to take. Because another thing that we're running into is the equines that are safe, being able to provide them with grain and hay through the winter. I mean, we're facing the winter now, and all of those supplies locally are gone. So that's another whole big other variable with this too.
Yeah, so are you seeing that people need to bring supplies in from further away now because what's available in your immediate area probably is either gone or unsafe to feed?
Yeah, so the hay here, any hay that was available locally before Helene is either ruined by the water or it's just washed away. And local farmers, their fields are just covered in mud. So all of the hay right now is mostly being outsourced, and coming in from other farmers from across the US, which is awesome. But we're going to be in it for the long haul. Like I said, we're going into the winter, so making sure everybody is fed and stays warm through the winter is going to be a huge task that we're taking on. Um, but with our organization, we're running the distribution center out of Tryon International Equestrian Center. So we've had truckloads come in from Maine and Vermont and Montana and of just hay, which has been awesome. And that's being distributed just about as quickly as it comes in. But we're also implementing something, to store and keep longer so that in a few months when they run out of the hay that they've gotten through this first wave, they're able to get more in their supply for more.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ritchie. Classic Equine by Ritchie automatic waterers stand out in their field, not yours, with aesthetically pleasing designs that provide clean drinking water for your horses without the work or worry. Ritchie keeps the water flowing, letting you spend more quality time with your horse, delivering a standout performance, all while blending in. Learn more at ritchiefount.com. So who is involved for coordinating these types of donations, and what do their efforts look like?
The entire country rose to the occasion with helping everybody here in the animals of Western North Carolina and the areas that were also affected in South Carolina and Tennessee and Virginia. Coordination, a lot of it came from Fleet of Angels, which is a nationwide equine disaster relief nonprofit organization. And they established essential supplies and services where there's a disaster involving equines. So they've been great with coordinating a lot of transport and donations coming in, stuff going out, and they also are providing micro grants to owners who need extra funding to provide vet care and feed and supplies and stuff for their equines after a disaster like this. So that is Fleet of Angels. We've been working with them really closely. And then the Tryon International Equestrian Center in Mill Spring was contacted and agreed to house donated supplies. And that's who we're working out of for our distribution hub. They were pivotal in supplying the space for donations. The space there is awesome. And it's been a really great location and hub. And the roads around here are pretty clear. And then my boss, Mary Adams, who's the president and founder of the sanctuary at Red Bell Run, was asked to be the distribution coordinator for incoming and outgoing equines and all other livestock out of the hub at the Equestrian Center in Tryon. So there's not one person that did and coordinated all of this. The coordination of these donations and the effort to get these supplies where they're most needed involved everyone, from the TIAC partners, including Sharon Decker, Fleet of Angels, Red Bell Run, our surge capacity force volunteers, private donors who are literally sending supplies by the semi-truckload to us, the National Guard, and just to volunteers, just individuals with a truck and trailer that are coming and showing up and saying, load me up, I'll go wherever you need me to go. There's no one person that did and coordinated all of this. It's been just a whole big group effort, and donations have come in literally from all over the country, which has been awesome.
So where are you guys seeing that there's still a need for more support? Is that one particular area, or are you still looking at almost everything?
Really, almost everything. We know that for these people, it's going to be a really long, hard winter. We're already seeing snow in some places, and there's people living out in tents in the snow.
Oh my goodness.
In some places, power is not estimated to be back on until January or February of next year. So, and like I said, any hay that was available locally is either ruined or washed away. So we're supporting these people and their animals. At this point, timeline is until next spring. Fleet of Angels has asked us at the Sanctuary of Red Bell Run to act as a hay bank for the Western North Carolina area. So we'll be looking in the next few weeks to transition from the Tryon International Equestrian Center hub to just being a hay and feed bank out of the sanctuary here. And then the State Department of Agriculture is also establishing hubs for hay depots throughout Western North Carolina. Currently, essential needs are people to donate hay, but also to store hay for later shipment as the current supply runs out. There's a huge need for fencing as well, as most fences were washed away. We're getting a lot of people coming forward saying that their animals are currently free roaming animals because they have no fencing. So we anticipate there will be a need for building materials here soon as people start to begin rebuilding shelters and barns and storage for their animals and for feed and hay too.
So, how can other equestrians support efforts to bring supplies to those in need, and specifically those who maybe aren't in the areas that are directly affected, such as yours?
Mhm.
I know one thing that I often hear is, if you don't know what you're doing in terms of rescue efforts, it's best for you to not physically go, but maybe
Yeah.
sending money or supplies. What can those people do to help? Because I know we have a lot of people who would like to help if they can.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree if you're not experienced in search and rescue, or if you're not experienced in those specific fields, it's best if you just support in other capacities. The first thing if you're looking to support with donation wise is to be sure that the supplies that you're collecting and donating are the supplies that are currently in need. Um, the last thing we want to do is burden people in distribution centers with things they're overflowing with. Um, so making sure that you're in contact with a distribution center such as ours, and get their current wish list of needs, which is so dynamic, and changes pretty much every day. But a lot of the stuff is staying consistent. Like hay is going to be pretty consistent. So making sure that you're in touch with somebody here with boots on the ground and getting their current wish list and then collecting donations based on that wish list. Fleet of Angels and us at Red Bell Run both post our current needs on our Facebook pages every day. Our Facebook is Red Bell Run BELL, and we do end of day updates every day with everything that's gone out, everything that's come in, what's going on over here, and our current wish list, and that is updated daily. So you're free to go to our Facebook page and our Instagram. Both of those is Red Bell Run, um, and get the latest needs of supplies. And then you can also contact us there, just message us there directly or email us at sanctuary@redbellrun.org. That's REDBELLRUN. And we'll give you the latest list of supplies and needs and more details and logistics about sending stuff over. Um, Equestrians all over the country have already been doing supply drives at their barns and local feed stores and riding associations and pony clubs. And the outpouring of support has been beyond belief. It's been awesome. So we're happy to guide in the right direction and give the most updated and reliable information in terms of what the needs are and the most responsible and reputable places to donate to.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love that you mentioned responsible and reputable because unfortunately, that's something that people have to be really careful of at this point in time as well. So we really appreciate you guys not only physically helping with these efforts, but also, supporting others who might want to help but don't really know how.
Absolutely. And then monetarily, donation wise, Fleet of Angels, like I said, is a really reputable organization, and you can donate directly to them through their website, just fleetofangels.org. And they have disaster relief donation portals for there. And that will go towards providing those micro grants to the owners that are in need of hay and supplies and vet care. Um, and they are a great organization to donate to, as well as us, redbellrun.org. We are also collecting monetary donations, and it'll be put towards hurricane relief too.
Amazing. So this is our final question as we're coming to the end of our time. And I'm wondering if there's any areas that are beginning the rebuilding stage yet. And if so, how can others support these efforts? And if not, do you expect that others can support these efforts in the future when you're ready to rebuild?
Absolutely. So at this time, people in Western North Carolina are just in the very beginning stages of reconstruction, if they've even gotten there at all. The first month has been mostly dedicated to search and rescue, but we are beginning to see requests for fencing materials, some building materials, and barn supplies to replace things like buckets and water troughs that were swept away. The best way to support these efforts would be to collect and donate fencing and building supplies, including small hand tools, lumber, corral panels, and things that would help to contain livestock or store and feed hay, such as shipping containers.
So that's all the time that we have for today, but I've really appreciated talking with you today, Stephanie. This has been both humbling and inspiring. And I really appreciate all the information that you've given me.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. We're happy to share what's going on over here. And as always, anybody can reach out to us on our social media or email and inquire more about ways to help no matter where they are in the U.S.
So we will certainly keep in touch with you, and we'll keep our readers updated on how they can help if they're able to. But thank you all for listening today. Please remember to like this podcast, subscribe, leave a review, and recommend the Stable Management Podcast.